My name is Gord Miller. I'm the Environmental Commissioner of Ontario, and I'm here today, December the 8th, 2009, to release a report to the Legislative Assembly. My report, which is called Finding a Vision for Change, is actually a report that reviews a government report, a Province of Ontario report that was released last week called Climate Change Action Plan, which in turn reviews the government's progress in reducing greenhouse gas emissions over the previous year. So my job is to critically evaluate that and report independently to the people of Ontario through the legislature on the government's success or problems. In that regard, I've got a couple of graphs to show you. The first graph I'm going to show you is reproduce figure 7 from the Province of Ontario report, Climate Change Action Plan. And it shows some information on initiatives to reduce the remaining greenhouse gas emissions to 2020. Now, there are three target years. The first target is by 2014. We're attempting to reduce greenhouse gases by 6%. By 2020, we're attempting to reduce greenhouse gases based on a 1990 base by 15%. And beyond that, 2050, that's the hard one. We have to reduce by 80%. But this chart's going to focus on 2020. 2014, of course, is not that far away. This is the realistic the next big target we have to meet. So, here's what we want to achieve in 2020. The tall green axis in this chart are business as usual forecasts. That's the kind of emissions we'd emit if we had changed nothing and go on the way we do business as usual. And so it's a theoretical projection. The number beside that is some estimation of our forecasted reductions. There's a number of these categories because they are broken down in sectors, in big sectors of greenhouse emitting sectors. So, for instance, the first one is transportation. That includes refined petroleum products, gasoline, diesel, that kind of things. The second is industry, and that's what you might imagine, you know, petroleum refineries, natural gas coking, steel mills, that kind of thing. And the third one is electricity category, producing electricity, how much greenhouse gas. And the fourth is buildings, and fifth agriculture, and the sixth is waste, landfills primarily. So, broken down by categorization, the first number is supposed to be what the business as usual emissions is, and the second number is supposed to be called forecasted reductions. Now, I find this graph rather confusing and misleading. It's really not very clear because all the histograms are the same height, you know, what the forecasted reductions are. So what I've done is to recast this same data, recast in my report to give you a different format to give some clarity into what's happening in the various sectors. So now we have figure 3 of my report, Finding a Vision for Change. And for figure 3, it's basically the same information. There's the 6 categories: transportation, industry, electricity, buildings, agriculture, and waste. And now it's much cleaner, I think. The tall blue column is the business as usual forecast, and the red column is what this plan, the Climate Change Action Plan, will actually achieve in these various sectors by 2020. And because we've sort of taken out some of that other information, we can see that by 2020, well, the only big drop between the blue and the red is in electricity. Big drop in greenhouse gas reductions in electricity. Of course, we're going to close the coal plants by 2014. And that gives us one big one-time win in reducing greenhouse gases. But look at the rest. Transportation, the biggest, in fact, the biggest sector by quite a margin, very modest reductions by 2020. Industry, no reduction at all. Electricity, we talked about. Buildings, again, a big source, and at least in theory, lots of old buildings, lots of changes, lots of improvements can be made, but very, very modest projection of greenhouse gas savings by 2020. Agricultural, negligible, waste, a little bit. I think the overall message here from this clear graph is that it's not enough. I mean, we know from reading the full report that the province is not on track to meet the targets by 6% by 2014 or in 2020, 15%. And why not? Well, there's just not enough done. I mean, we've basically put all the load on one sector and done, you know, a pretty good job at reducing greenhouse gas emissions. But look at this and look at this. And that's the problem. We have to have more tools in the toolkit, more initiatives to reduce greenhouse gases from all the sectors. We have to really change the way we live and do business in Ontario to really effectively bring these numbers down if we're to make meaningful cuts and achieve the targets that the world expects of us. The targets we have set are targets to be made. We're not going to make them, but they're targets that are not ambitious. The world community, the scientific community is saying our targets should even be more rigorous. The numbers should be lower. And we have not got the tools in our toolkit yet to deal with that. And that's the problem.